Hey everyone, it's Amanda again, and I'm back with another video today, and this time it is a writing video, and specifically it's a fiction writing video. And even more specifically, it's a video on creating characters for your story or character development. But this kind of character development is very much INFP style, and I think you'll see what I mean by that as I get further into it. So the inspiration for this video was a question that I got from someone who identified themselves as C, like as in the letter C. So this person asked me about what is my process for creating characters and getting them to relate to one another and also to relate to the themes of my story. And they also asked me about specifically about using archetypes in order to structure those characters and to also structure the story. So the archetypes I will talk about just a little bit at the end of the video, because I find archetypes fascinating, and I've done like a good amount of reading and watching and listening, about them, researching, but I don't actually think about it consciously when I'm writing the story. So I did just want to address it a little bit at the end because it's a topic that I'm interested in, but I am going to go through my process for how I develop characters. So I've been writing fiction for 13 years, and I've also been self-publishing for almost 11. So I've written, I have 5 published novels. I've written one more, that I've actually written 6, but the first one was practice only. And I've written a whole bunch of short stories as well. Some of those are published in various ways. Some of them still only exist, on my laptop or wherever they are. But I've written a lot of stories. And so the way that I go about developing characters is maybe a little bit more unusual, or not something that you would typically hear when you go looking for how do I create a character. So essentially, I think about characters just like real people. So that's it. Characters are not these things that you construct. They are actually like real people who show themselves to you. Okay? So, all right. When I'm coming up with a character, okay, typically, like this character sort of shows themselves to me in some way. Like when I first get the idea, right? I tend to get a lot of images. So when I get story ideas, I tend to see some sort of a scene in my mind. Like it'll kind of just pop up into my mind. Maybe it's like triggered by something I'm seeing or listening or something like that. But it just, I just get this image, and there will be a main character in that scene. So here's my character showing themselves to me for the first time, right? And I also want to, make the point here that, when you sort of take the perspective that characters are real people, this is it's a really good way for INFPs to frame this process, because INFPs know people really well. We are people, right? We're introverts, so it seems kind of funny, but we're very interested in people, and we pick up on a lot about people. Like when we're just out in the world, we're always observing and we're always absorbing what's going on with people. What are their qualities like? How are they relating with other people? I mean, we're just absorbing this stuff. And so when you view characters as real people, you sort of you demystify them a little bit, and you're viewing them like you would view anyone else in your life. And so then the way you develop the character is not to try to construct them, it's to try to get to know them. Okay? So what think about getting to know someone in real life. Think about your friends and how you got to know them. Like, how did you come to know who they were? How did you come to understand their particular qualities? How did you come to maybe even see, like, you know how sometimes you can like see patterns in other people's lives very easily? It might be hard to see your own, but with other people, you know, you can see how they interact with others. You can see this pattern that seems to come up for them over and over again. And it'll be the same thing with your characters. So, yeah, like, so when I'm first getting an idea for a character, when this character first shows itself to me, there may be some qualities right off the bat that I can tell about them. So, I'm going to use, I have a novel called North, and it's this road trip adventure story. And the main character, and this is a novel that I've published. I published it in 2016, so it's out there. And I'll put a link to it underneath the video if you want to go and take a look and check it out. But Jane is the main character, and like right away, like right as I sort of started to get these images with Jane in them, I knew that she was a petty thief. I knew that she was like a loner. I knew that she was very self-reliant based on necessity. I also knew that she was like, how do I say this? Like she tended to be sort of a runner, like in terms of, you know, she tended to sort of run away from problems in her life. That was how she dealt with them. So anyway, those were things that came up for me right away. Well, as I wrote the story, more and more of Jane's qualities came out to me. And, you know, it's just like, it's just like getting to know another person. If you think about a friend you have and how you got to know them, and then how your relationship has maybe deepened over the years, you know, think about how did you know, like you could probably name some of your friends' qualities. How did you come to know those things? It'll be the same way with your character. Some things will come out to you right away. Or let me turn this around so I'm speaking for myself. You know, some things will come out to me right away. Other things I have to see a little bit more in order to realize that this is a quality that the character has. Because just like real people, sometimes things are real obvious with characters, and other times they're a little more subtle, they're a little more hidden, and it's only going to come out a little bit later on. Okay, and then, you know, how do you get your characters to realistically relate to the other characters in your story? And this is not that difficult. You know, when you have an idea of who this character is, what their qualities are, what patterns they may have in their life, on and on, it's just like imagining two real people that you know having an interaction. Like if you think of two of your friends, can you imagine, based on their individual qualities, a realistic interaction that they may have together? I bet that you can. It's not that hard to do, right? You know, if you think about Mike, you know, imaginary friends, or not imaginary friends, but, you know, just hypothetical friends, Mike and Dolores, right? Dolores has certain qualities, Mike has certain qualities. How do they based on their sets of qualities, how do they interact together? Do they get along really well? Do they have a tendency to argue with each other? Does Dolores kind of like egg Mike on to do certain things? Does Mike get under Dolores' skin sometimes? It's just like imagining real people. And also, and it's the same kind of thing when you're thinking about how the character interacts with the story that you're writing, the structure of the story that you're writing, and maybe even the various themes of the story. So in that case, it's not a character interacting with another character, it's a character, you can think of it as a character interacting with their environment or the setting. So it's kind of like the simple math equation is a character's qualities plus their specific environment and the qualities of that environment equal action. So let's say your character is brash, they're loud, they can be a little bit aggressive, and right, those are just a few of their qualities, and they walk into a coffee shop. So that's a certain, right, that's a certain environment with certain parameters. I think we all know what a coffee shop, the vibe of a coffee shop. How does that type of character, what do they do inside that coffee shop? How do they approach that environment? And you could even contrast it with like a whole other type of character. Like another type of character, you know, is bubbly and really funny, and but like a little bit on the quiet side. How would they go into a coffee shop and act? You know, right? So or like the brash character doesn't go into a coffee shop, they go into a sporting event, right? So you can like swap these elements out and see how that changes the action. So in summary, it's, you know, the way that I develop characters is just to think about them just like real people and to come to know their unique qualities just like anybody else has, and then just imagine how those unique qualities interact with other people's unique qualities and with their unique environmental settings. And that's going to give me relationships between characters. It's also going to give me the action and the arc of the story. And I've always done that. You know, it was sort of something that I did naturally. I mean, I think maybe at the beginning of my writing journey, I was maybe trying to construct a little bit more, but this sort of just came to me. You know, just treating them like real people and using my knowledge and understanding of real actual people to give these characters life. Yeah, so that's how I go about doing that. And okay, I don't want this video to become exceptionally long, so I'm going to stop that there, and then I just wanted to address the archetypes part of that question real quick. So I do not consciously or deliberately pull up information about archetypes when I am developing a character, when I'm writing that character. But however, I've spent quite a bit of time. It's an area of interest for me. I've read about archetypes and watched videos and listened to stuff, and I've researched archetypes. I find it really interesting. And what that does is it allows me to sort of absorb that information, right? It kind of like integrate it into my knowledge and experience. And then I think what happens is it just sort of naturally comes out when I'm writing or when I'm working with a character. So, it's not something, I'm not like sitting there at my laptop going, what archetype is this character, and therefore how should they act? A character will fit certain archetypes just like real people do. And that certainly is coming out, but it's just not something that I'm pulling up consciously while I'm doing it. So my recommendation there would be to definitely spend some time, research archetypes. If you're interested in that, it's really fascinating, and I think it will help you become a better writer and really develop some great characters. But just kind of let it, research it, let it sink in, and then allow it just to naturally come out as you write. The more that you sort of integrate that knowledge into your writing experience. So let's end this video. That was character development, INFP style. And like I said, I'll put that link to my novel North underneath the video. And also too, if you're interested in joining my 4 INFPs newsletter, There's also a link, there will be a link below the video for that. And all right, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.